I'm going to do just another package here, and this is one I downloaded from VMware just to run virtual machines. That'll let me run Windows operating systems like Windows 7 and XP and software inside of Linux if I need it for one reason or another. Sudo chmod, and I could just use to add the X, plus X to add the X permission, but in this case, just use a wildcard. Do a long listing there. Okay, so now it's executable, and do sudo VMware there, and I'm going to say yes. And by the way, this and VMware Server are free downloads available from VMware.com for Linux. I'm going to say no, and then I'm just going to choose no there, and I don't have Eclipse set up, so I'm just going to go with the default. I'm going to say no there, and yes, and go ahead and just kind of walk through the install. Again, I'm just running it from this script here. But on this 64-bit version of Ubuntu, this will just give us some virtualization capability here. We can run Snow Leopard inside of Linux, or we can run Windows 7 or Vista or XP inside of Linux, or we can run Fedora inside of Ubuntu, or good grief. There's so many different operating systems, and virtualization is getting so good today, it's just, there's really no limitation to what you can do. Use them all. They're just tools. Okay, installation was successful here. And when it did that, let's go over here and look at System Tools. Okay, and I'm going to add just an icon to the panel. I'm going to add one to the desktop. And let me go ahead and do this. And depends on the version. I actually had to update, because this is the latest greatest version of Ubuntu. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to have to do the same thing here with the 64-bit mode. I had to compile a few things, a patch into the kernel to get it to work properly, but we'll see. I think I'm going to have the same issue here, but maybe this will be good to put on video, because yeah, from time to time you will run into issues and problems and things. And this is exactly what I did in the 32-bit version, but I had to have, I had to add the patch. Okay. Okay, and I just used my good friend Google. I am by no means an expert on all things Linux. I may just be a novice, if I'm even that, but I do love Linux. And just to show you how easy it is, using my good friend Google, I looked up VMware and the latest version of Ubuntu 10.10, the latest and greatest. So it is kind of it's pretty new. So it's going to take people a while to kind of change things to go with Ubuntu 10.10. But I found this web page. And similar issues with VMware, and look how easy it is to use the command prompt to resolve problems and issues and things. So in this case I've changed directory to downloads, and then notice here's our wget command again, right? And sure, I could right click and I could say save link as, but it's I think it's even more convenient. I can just right out of the web page, I can copy this text and paste it, or you can type it out if you like doing things the hard way. But it's a wget. It's just going to download it. So there's the patch that I wanted to get. Now I need to change permissions on the patch, and I could chmod 777 or 755. But notice the way he's doing it here. Chmod, you can add permissions on or subtract using plus and minus, x and minus. That's just another way of doing the same thing. But again, I could type it out, or I could just copy and paste it, just to show you how easy that is. And now I want to apply the patch, and I'm just going to do that here. and again I could wildcard it and just type out, remember you have to use the dot and the forward slash to find a file when it's executable in Ubuntu. That's by design as a security precaution, but in this case, I've already applied the patch, and done, and done, and let me just quit without saying. So now let's see if I'm going to try to see if we can finish the installation routine now, and if it can finish building with that patch. So can we get VMware to run on the latest and greatest version of Ubuntu 10.10 Maverick Meerkat with 64-bit architecture, so I can use the 7 gigs of RAM that I've got on this system. My choices were I to install 32-bit. Yes, I could do that, but that's pretty much only going to give me 3 gigabytes of RAM that I can use, and I'm wasting 4 gigabytes. So it's a little bit extra trouble to use the 64-bit version at this point until there's a little bit more support. Not really that much trouble, guys. There's only maybe 3 or 4 applications I've had to find patches or workarounds for it, but it's worth it to be able to adjust the extra memory and to get some of the the features that you can only get through a 64-bit operating system. And of course it's all free. It's a free download. So almost made it, last one, and oh no, and there it goes. Yay! Okay, didn't cost me a dime, and it really wasn't that much trouble. I just used Google, and typically Linux administration tasks, Google is your best friend. You get out there and you Google things, and it's much better than Microsoft support line, and they don't charge you any money, and it's free. And good grief, there's so many nice, kind, helpful people out there. They'll practically give you the shirt off their back in the Linux community, and odds are you're going to find somebody with your exact same problem. If you just know what to Google for, error messages or patches and things that you need, in this case just setting up some of the standard software I use, but this time in sort of a bleeding edge or cutting edge 64-bit version of Ubuntu, which is a completely free download. I have to say that again. And now if I wanted to, I could go ahead and make myself a new virtual machine, and to do that I'll go with typical settings here, and I'll just load up an ISO, and I need to mount. I have this is a dual boot, and the other system was a triple boot. This is only a dual boot, so I have Windows 7 on a partition and I have Ubuntu 10.10, but I need to mount an NTFS partition, and as soon as I remember what I did I had an ISO of XP around here somewhere. Here we go. So we had an ISO of, there's an ISO of XP. Alright, and I'm going to go here, and if I had a key, I'd put the key in there, and then I'll just say next, and then multiple files is usually what I choose, and I'm going to limit that to maybe 20 gigs, and I don't want it to allocate it all at once, but that way I can install Office, and I can install, I need to install Visual Studio 2010. Those are pretty much the only Windows applications that I have to use that I would require Windows for. And then of course I would just want to enter my registration key.